Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the virtual executive meeting of North Somerset Council, 9th of December. I'm Don Davis, I'm the leader of the council. I'm going to do an introduction so that people who haven't watched before will understand the procedure for this, because clearly as a virtual meeting it's different to a face-to-face meeting within the town hall as would be usual. So I would like to welcome everyone to this virtual meeting of the executive. Before we move to the formal agenda, there are a few procedural and housekeeping issues to remind you of. This meeting is being held under virtual meetings regulations using Microsoft Teams. Decisions made by the executive will have the same standing and validity as if they're made at a physical meeting held at the town hall. We are streaming today's meeting live on the internet, and a recorded version will be available to view within 48 hours on the North Somerset Council website. Members of the public may see a number of different people on screen during the course of the meeting, but only members of the executive will take the decision on each item. I would refer councillors to the meeting etiquette and guide to using Teams as previously circulated. Please remember to use your headphones. This will improve the sound quality for everyone. Members of the executive, please keep your video on during the meeting, but ensure your audio is muted when not speaking. When you wish to speak, would you please indicate by using the chat function rather than the hand signals function, as it's easier to monitor requests to speak from a single source. I will invite each of you to speak by way of the queue system. If you are leaving or return to the meeting, would you please ensure that I'm aware of this by using the chat function. This is particularly important in respect of any disclosable pecuniary interests where you are not permitted to participate in the agenda item by law. You should immediately leave the meeting before the start of any debate on an item where you have a disclosable pecuniary interest. A Democratic Services Officer will confirm when you've left the meeting and rejoined following the termination of the agenda item. Non-executive members, would you please ensure that your audio is muted and your video is turned off when you're not speaking? Please use this chat function to indicate when you wish to speak. Can I remind members that the chat function should only be used for the purpose of requesting to speak or associated matters and not for general chat. The voting procedure. When proposing a motion, would you please indicate by the chat function you wish to speak and wait and invited to do so. Please clearly state what you are moving, for example, the recommendation report. If you're seconding a motion, please again clearly indicate you wish to speak and wait for me to call you. Generally, voting at this meeting will be done in reverse order and en bloc. That is, I will firstly request votes against the motion, then abstentions, then all other executive members in the meeting will be taken en bloc as voting for the motion. As chairman, if I determine there should be a voting by roll call, the solicitor will call each councillor in turn by name. Please state clearly if your vote is for the motion, against the motion, or abstain. This will ensure the vote is accurately recorded for more controversial matters and will enable members of the public to properly observe the vote. Please remember to turn on your microphone when voting and mute when not spoken. Before moving to the agenda, are there any questions from councillors? Can all members hear and see today's proceedings? I'm getting lots of nods. So, Michelle, have you heard anything there?
Nothing in chat, Chairman.
Lovely, fine, okay. Well, thank you. But we'll now move to the agenda. But before we do so, I'd like to ask if we could have a minute's reflection, please, in memory of the very sad loss of 4 lives at the Wessex Water facility in Avonmouth last week. Michael James, Brian Vickery, Raymond White and Luke Wheaton all lost their lives. At least one of those people, I understand, lived in North Somerset, and Luke Wheaton was a student at Weston College. So this is a tragedy not only for those families but for our wider community as well. And as you know, at this time of year, it's also extremely difficult, I'm sure. So if we could have a few moments of reflection, please, and I'd ask everybody to mute their sound. Thank you. Thank you. I'm sure they'll remain in our thoughts and prayers over coming days. Thank you for your help there, colleagues. We now move on to the formal agenda of this executive meeting. The first item is addresses by members of the public. 2 submissions were received in accordance with our standing orders, and both have been published on the website. And I will take it that everybody's read them. The first is from Mr. Stuart Tarapil, resident on the Abbots, Leigh, Ham Green, Pill and Easton-in-Gordano neighbourhood plan. This is noted and we referred to under agenda item 9, led by Councillor Tonkin. And there is a response from Mr. John Ives, a Long Ashton resident, on public space protection orders. This item, the public space protection orders, are currently under public consultation and will come to this executive in February. So I would urge Mr. Ives not only to engage with his members in his own ward, Councillors Cartman and McQuillan, but also to make sure his very well thought out comments are put into the consultation for this as well, so everybody else can see them. So thank you very much, both of you, for your deliberations with us. We move on to item 2, which is apologies for absence. I have received none to date, but I'll just double check and let members of the executive introduce themselves. So I'm Don Davis, I'm the leader of the council. Mike Bell.
Good afternoon, I'm Mike Bell. I'm the Deputy Leader of the Council and Executive Member for Adult Social Care and Health.
Lovely. Mark Canniford.
Good afternoon. Sorry about that. I'm Councillor Mark Canniford. I'm the Executive Member for Business Economy and Employment.
Ashley Cartman.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ash Cartman. I'm the Executive Member for Finance and Performance.
Catherine Gibbons.
Good afternoon. I'm Catherine Gibbons. I'm the Executive Member for Children's Services, Lifelong Learning and Skills.
Bridget Petty.
Good afternoon. I'm Bridget Petty, Executive Member for the Climate Emergency and the Environment.
Lovely. Mike Solomon.
Good afternoon. My name's Mike Solomon. I'm Executive Member for Tourism, Leisure and Communities. Thank you.
James Tonkin.
Good afternoon. I'm Councillor James Tonkin. I'm the Executive Member for Planning, Highways and Transport.
Okay, and we also have with us our 2 assistant executive members, Nicola Holland.
Hello, I'm Councillor Nicola Holland. I am the Assistant Exec for Community Engagement, Town Parish Liaison, North Somerset Together.
And Jeff Richardson.
Jeff Richardson. I'm the Assistant Exec for Highways and Transport.
Lovely. So we got full attendance here. Item 3, declarations of disclosable pecuniary interest according to Standing Order 37. Are there any? I'm seeing and hearing none. We now move on to item number 4, which is the minutes of the meeting from the 21st of October. For confirmation as a correct record. I will propose them as a correct record. Can I have a seconder, please, one of my colleagues? Councillor James Tonkin. Is there anybody that wishes to vote against their adoption? Are there any abstentions? Michelle?
Nothing in chat, Chairman.
Lovely, so those are passed. Thank you, colleagues. Item number 5 is non-executive council addresses. None were received by the deadline as of yesterday noon. Item 6, matters referred to the executive and not dealt with elsewhere on the agenda. I believe there are none. Can I confirm that with Nick Brain?
That's correct, Chairman. There are none.
Lovely. Item 7, which is the West of England sub-region, items not dealt with elsewhere on this agenda. Just for an update to both members of the executive, colleagues and the public. The protracted negotiations for North Somerset to join the West of England Combined Authority appear to have come to nothing due to the veto from the Mayor Rees from Bristol. Therefore, as requested by my colleagues, I have written to Luke Hall, who is the Minister responsible, and I'm awaiting a meeting with him to see what the next steps forward are. And clearly, we're very concerned about the funding and powers implications, for example, for our wonderful Western College, and making sure that we get the funding we need. which is even more important given where we are in recovery from the pandemic. So thank you. Item number 8 is the forward plan. This is for noting. Can I have a proposer, please? Councillor Gibbons, a seconder. Councillor Tonkin. Are we all happy to note? I'm seeing lots of nods. I'm seeing anything in the chat against Michelle?
Nothing in the chat, Chairman.
Lovely. Okay, and we'll move on to item number 9, which is the Pill and District Neighbourhood Plan. I think, James Tonkin, you're going to introduce this.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Firstly, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank the 17 members of the steering group who undertook this mammoth task, and Cecilia Dring for her guidance in this matter. The Abbots, Ham Green, Pill and Easton-in-Gordano Neighbourhood Plan was submitted to North Somerset Council for examination on Monday, the 2nd of November 2020 by Pill and Easton-in-Gordano Parish Council on behalf of both Abbots, and Pill and Easton-in-Gordano Parish Councils, which is the qualifying body. North Somerset Council must now consider whether the criteria set out in Schedule 4B of the 1990 Town and Country Planning Act, as amended, the neighbourhood plan can go forward to examination, arrange a period of consultation on the submitted plan, and pass any resulting comments, including those of North Somerset Council, to the examiner. The person undertaking the examination will be appointed by North Somerset Council with the agreement of the qualifying body. In response to Mr. Tarr's comments earlier, the merits of the plan will be decided upon by an independent examiner in the spring of next year. They are not a matter for the executive today. Before that examination takes place, North Somerset Council will undertake a 6-week period of consultation on the plan early next year. Any comments which Mr. Tarr and anyone else makes during that time will be forwarded to the examiner for her consideration as part of the examination. Therefore, I would recommend that the executive resolve that Abbots, Ham Green, Pill and Easton-in-Gordano Neighbourhood Plan, previously referred to as Pill and District Neighbourhood Plan, meets the necessary conditions in according to Schedule 4B of the 1990 Town and Country Planning Act as amended, and that it can proceed to examination. 2. The executive member for Planning, Highways and Transport be given the authority to agree North Somerset Council's comments on the submitted plans, and that they be passed to the examiner. And I look for a second. Thank you, Chairman. Any questions?
I'll second, Chairman. Thank you. Jeff Richardson.
Chairman, I've taken you as the seconder. You're on mute, Chairman, but I've taken you as the seconder because obviously Councillor Richardson is an assistant, so he can't.
Yeah, sorry. Okay. Thank you, Nick. Thank you. Okay, Michelle, are any other questions?
No questions in chat, Chairman.
Lovely. Well, as the ward member, I would just like to add to Councillor Tonkin's comments of thanks to the steering group, to the people that helped write the plan. I think there were probably well over 100 people involved in the writing of that plan. It's been a real community effort. I'm sure as you've seen from the document, it's covered a wide range of areas. It's the first on over 2 parishes, but I do think it fits very well into the area and what we're trying to achieve. So thank you everybody that's assisted with this. We'll now move to the vote. Are there any against? Are there any abstentions? Anything, Michelle?
Nothing at all in chat, Chairman.
Lovely. Okay, so I'll take that as passed. So thank you, colleagues. I'll now move on to item 10, which is the commissioning plan for the re-procurement of traffic control and intelligent transport system related services. James Tonkin.
Thank you again, Chairman. First of all, I would like to thank Aaron Coffin-Smith and Sean Philcott for their efforts in compiling this report. The Council's Traffic Control and Intelligent Transport System related services contract ends in June 2022. this report sets out the proposals for the re-procurement of this service. I therefore propose that the commissioning plan as set out in this report be approved. I'll look for a second. Thank you, Chairman.
I'll get a seconder. Councillor Mike Bell is seconding. Do we have any comments from officers?
No comments in chat.
Any from non-executive members?
No comments at all, Chairman.
Anything from my executive colleagues?
Nothing, Chairman.
Lovely. So we'll go straight to the vote. Is there anybody against? Are there any abstentions? Okay, Michelle, so I can assume that everybody's in favour?
Yeah, nothing in chat.
Lovely, thank you. So we'll move on now to item number 10, which is item number 11, which is the technology-enabled care commissioning plan, which Mike Bell is going to introduce.
Thank you, Chairman. The report is pretty self-explanatory. The council has been reviewing the delivery of our existing assistive technology and telecare services for some time. Members will know that technology-enabled care has a huge amount of potential to transform our ability to help people remain independent and receive appropriate support, and we absolutely want to be at the forefront of that work as a council. So this report and commissioning plan is all about us thinking through that work, developing a strategy, and then seeking a service provider and development partner in order for us to expand the existing offer, both in terms of its coverage and scope. Over the last couple of years, our technology care team have been doing a number of pilot projects which have really helped to inform this process and have been very successful in giving us the confidence that we can improve some of our re-ablement outcomes and better empower care providers to deliver good solutions that maximise independence. So hopefully this is something that we can have real confidence will land real benefits for users of our services in the longer term. I just want to thank Councillor Crosby and the Adult Services Panel for their interest and engagement in this work and look forward to their continued contribution as the commissioning plan progresses. And I'm happy to move the recommendations as printed in the report and seek a seconder, please.
Okay. Councillor Mike Solomon seconding. Thank you, Mike. Okay, are there any officer comments?
I think I would just add it's Hayley.
Oh, hi, Hayley.
Just to add to what Mike has just said, I think that there's been some huge advances in technology-enabled care, and it is a key theme within the Adult Social Care Transformation Plan. And as was alluded to, I think it will help us to manage the increased demand for adult social care. It will also prevent need and maximise people's independence. And I'd also like to note that we have been recognised as a council as a leader in this area. And I think, as alluded to, it's really important that we mainstream the offer and ensure that technology-enabled care and occupational therapy is our first offer before we assess for a commissioned service.
No, thank you. Hayley, just like to introduce yourself in case anybody's doesn't know who you are and new to the. Yes, apologies. I'm
Don't worry. Hayley Verico, Interim Director for Adult Support and Safeguarding.
Thank you, Hayley. Are there any non-executive members who want to ask any questions? Michelle?
Nothing in chat, Chairman.
Okay, any of my colleagues got a question? I can't see any hands up. No? You're on mute, Michelle. You're getting as bad as me.
No comments in chat, Chairman.
Okay, lovely. So shall we go for the vote? Are there any against? Are there any abstentions?
Nothing in chat, Chairman.
Lovely, thank you. So that is now passed. So thank you, colleagues, for that. I'll now move on to item number 12, which is Mike Solomon and the North Somerset Sport and Leisure Facilities Strategy. Mike Solomon.
Thank you, Chairman. I would like to recommend to the council that they adopt the North Somerset Sports and Leisure Facilities Strategy. It's taken a while getting here. We don't have one at the moment. and there's no legal requirement to have one. We had some funding put forward in 2017 to create some reports, which were, they're quite long reports, but they're available to read. And 2019, that was all completed. This is a high level strategy, so it doesn't include lots of details. So it doesn't include details of where we're going to be putting facilities. That's something that will come as the next stage, but we need to have a strategy in place to enable us to have access to various funding and planning. Hence the fact that I'd like this to be adopted by the council. Thank you.
Okay. So, Mike, are you proposing we accept this?
I'm proposing we accept this. Yes, please.
Okay, Mike Solomon, do we have a seconder? Catherine Gibbons, thank you. The recommendation is as laid out in the papers under item number 12. The council adopts the North Somerset Sport and Leisure Facilities Strategy appended to this report. The members note this is a high-level strategic document which encompasses two further detailed strategy documents, the Sport and Leisure Built Facilities Strategy and the Playing Pitch Strategy. The action plan and delivery plan for the leisure facilities will follow once the strategy has been adopted and when the council's local plan asset strategies are in place. So it's a very high-level document, but without this we can't do the next pieces of the jigsaw puzzle. So thank you for officers and Mike for producing this. Do we have any comments from officers, Michelle?
No comments from officers, Chairman.
Anything from my non-executive colleagues?
Councillor Bridger has requested to speak.
Steve Bridger.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, very briefly, I just wanted to make a few comments on this. As we looked at this in scrutiny, we've had a few goes at it, and I feel that we've been able to influence the report. We've certainly looked at a lot of the evidence base that sits behind the report. As I think, as you were saying, we haven't had a coherent sort of underpinning strategy for leisure, so we will now have one. So it's very welcome. I think the three strategic core objectives in the report are spot on. I particularly welcome the emphasis in the document around the fact that the council cannot deliver all the facilities our residents need on its own. We're not just a provider of services, we're an enabler, and we need to obviously work with lots of other partners, including communities themselves, obviously, to ensure that we get the investment required to deliver the assets, the facilities that the residents need, and also secure access to the additional community facilities that are outside the control of the council, that are affordable. I know that Carly Phillips does a lot of work in that area in particular. So, as you said, Chair, and Mike, Councillor Solomon, it's a high level strategic document, but very welcome.
Thank you very much, Steve, and please record our thanks to you and the scrutiny group for looking at these documents and indeed a wide range of topics. Without the scrutiny overview, we wouldn't be doing our job properly as a council. So thank you for you and your colleagues on that. Anybody else wishes to speak, Michelle?
Councillor Bell and Councillor Havison would like to speak as well.
So I'll go to Karen Havison first, and then I'll go to Mike Bell. Karen.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I really welcome this. As somebody who uses leisure facilities myself, I think I know how important it is. I just wanted to ask if, apart from us providing and looking after the facilities, does it also involve us encouraging and campaigning for their use? Because I think that also needs to be included.
I would very much hope so, but I'll ask Mike Solomon.
Yes, it does, and it also we also want to make sure that with the message about us being carbon neutral is in there, so that any new facilities that we're building are along those lines, and any of the older facilities where we can look at grants coming forward and any money we can get to improve their efficiency. So yes, it certainly does include that, Karen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mike Bell.
Thanks, Chairman, and thank you to Councillor Solomon and officers for producing this document, and also for engaging so enthusiastically, I think, with members of the executive and with the policy and scrutiny process in terms of explaining where we are, how we've got here, and what the route ahead looks like. And I think that's been extremely helpful, and I really appreciate the time that everyone has taken to do that. I mean, for me, I think the document as a whole stands on its own merits as setting a sort of strategic direction that we need to take as a council, but the critical bit is the action plan that takes us forward. And certainly as if I may abuse my privilege as an executive member to talk about the particular needs of the community in Weston-super-Mare, I think there is long recognition across the council and across the community that Weston-super-Mare's leisure facilities are in need of investment and updating. And whilst there have absolutely been improvements at Hutton Moor Leisure Centre, I think it is recognised that that is a centre that is many decades old now, and the town was a very different place when it was constructed. So we've continued to grow, and of course our local plan process will see further population growth in and around Weston-super-Mare, with a younger population in particular. So I really welcome this report, and I think the community in Weston will want to see progress on things like access to swimming facilities and other leisure services. So I look forward to seeing the action plan in due course, so we can really articulate how we're going to work together with partners to land some of the improvements that everybody wants to see. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Any other comments, Michelle?
No other comments.
Chair, can I just respond to Mike's comments? Is that possible?
If you want.
Mike, thank you very much for your observations. And we are recognising that we need more water-based facilities, not only in Weston, which I know is also dear to me, but in other of our towns. So yes, we are recognising that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so unless we've got any other comments, I don't think there are. We'll go for the vote. Is there anybody against adopting this? Any abstentions?
Nothing in chat, Chairman.
I think lovely. So we'll take that as passed. So thank you very much, colleagues. Now we move on to item 13, which is the budget monitor to month 6, and this will be Councillor Ash Cartman.
Thanks, Chair. I'll give a couple of opening comments, really, and then I'll ask perhaps the officer, Richard Pensker, if he wants to add anything else. I think this is for month 6, so this is our halfway point through the year. We've got a budget overspend predicted in this a half year of £2.4 million, but that's £1.4 million at the end of month 5, and I think even since then that's continuing to come down due to the actions that we take. I think, as we've said before, it's been a really difficult time, and we had to put a lot of budget amendments through. So I think to be looking at this sort of gap charge is, but of course, has now got a lot of uncertainty. I think it's good, cautiously optimistic, but not out of the woods yet. I'd just like if Richard Pensker has anything to add.
Thank you, Councillor. So just to reference the recommendation, so Executive asked to note the revenue and capital budget forecasts, approve the amendments to the revenue budget, and approve the amendments to the capital budgets, which are actually at Appendix 5, not Appendix 4 as shown in the report. Just to add to comments made by Councillor Cartman, there is a positive movement between month 5 and month 6. It's moved from 3.9 to 2.4. Month 7, which of course isn't quite finalised yet, is equally showing an improved position. So we continue to track positively in the year to I think we'll a balanced position. So you know, that's where I think we'll be. I would draw your attention to Appendix 3. So Appendix 3 does detail the amount of grant we've received that have gone through our books in this year, which is exceptional. So there's something like £79.5 million worth of additional grant we've received through COVID. Some of that we've issued directly out to businesses, etc., but a good deal of it has been to deal with COVID pressures. So it does rather skew our books this year. That makes it a very unusual year. What's not included in these figures are grants we're still requesting off of government. So we have an income loss application, which is not yet played in, but equally we've also not got the impact of the second lockdown, further tiers, further supplier support we expect around waste and leisure, so that they will equally move positions over the months. We have taken the opportunity in this month to allocate some money towards collection losses, that position may get re-informed actually when we better understand the government settlement, which we should have the details of next week. The key improvements areas are in adults. So there's a sort of £1.9 million move in adults, which is to do with release of the risk allocation. We've been able to do that because of the infection control monies received from government, and also in the Place Directorate, a 1.1 million move because income levels have been better than we forecast, and also some of our risk allocated against home to school transport has also been reduced down. So they're the main changes. Happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Richard, and thank you to you and your team, and indeed council officers all over in terms of the work they've done to try and get some level of certainty in this incredibly uncertain world. So thank you. Michelle, are there any questions or comments you're seeing in your chat?
No questions or comments in chat, Chairman.
Okay. Right, so we've got a propose. You're proposing this, Ash. We've got a seconder.
Yes, please.
Is there anybody seconding this? Mike Solomon, thank you. So we've got 3 recommendations.
Don, it's Mark. I tried to put it into chat, but it doesn't seem to have popped up. I just wanted to take this opportunity, as Richard had mentioned, the amount of money that's been passported through the council teams with grants to support small businesses or all businesses. And I just wanted to echo our thanks to the 24/7 work that team have been doing. And I think it's important to note that they have been working Saturdays and Sundays. I often get emails at 9 o'clock at night from Stuart who and Richard, who clearly are going above and beyond what we would normally expect from any member of staff. And I know many staff have been doing these things in these difficult times in all departments, but I just wanted to, in my responsibilities, echo my thanks to the amount of work they're doing, and echo the thanks from businesses. Many are still finding life extremely difficult, and I wanted to assure them that we are on that case. Things, you know, we had no team when we started issuing these grants, and we've had to create that team, and there are a lot of people who need help, so bear with us if your money hasn't come through. It's on its way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark, and I think we'd all echo those thanks to that team in particular. So just for clarity, the recommendations are: the executive are asked to note the projected revenue and capital budgets forecast as detailed of the report, including the likely impacts that COVID-19 emergency response may have on the council's overall financial position in the short and medium term. The second one is approve the amendments to the revenue budget in respect of additional COVID-19 grant funding. And 3, to approve the amendments to the capital budgets as detailed within Appendix 5. Now, I hope that both the proposer and seconder were proposing that slightly amended recommendation. Thank you very much for that confirmation. Are there any votes against? Are there any abstentions?
Nothing in chat, Chairman.
Lovely, thank you, Michelle. So thank you, colleagues. I accept that as passed. We now move on to item 14, which is, again, Ash Cartman on the medium-term financial plan.
Thank you, Chair. So this is an update on where we are for the medium-term financial plan. In particular, let's focus on the next financial year rather than too much beyond that. So in terms of 21 to 22. So going back to last February, it seems an age.
We keep losing your sound, Councillor Ashman.
Right, so
year.
Councillor Cartman, I'm afraid you keep dropping out. Should you want to try without video, see if that makes it any better?
Next year to be right, let's try that.
Okay.
Okay, so as I said, this is we've been working on the medium-term financial plan over the last few weeks, and we started the year expecting next year for us to have a gap of just over 9 million.
You're still dropping out, Councillor Cartman, I'm afraid. Right, we've completely lost you now.
This is down to £3.3 million, which you can see in the report, and that's the result of a lot of work in terms of identity. Shall I switch?
We've heard virtually nothing of what you've said. Whether you can hear me or not.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Should we give it one more go?
Okay, I heard virtually nothing of what you said. That's the only right from the very beginning. So I guess colleagues are the same.
Let me start again then. I didn't say that much. So this is an update on the MTFP, as you said, Chair. In summary, we were expecting, when we started planning back in February, we had a £9.2 million gap. This report shows how we've moved now to a £3.3 million gap expected for next year, due to lots of work being done by officers in terms of savings plans and revision of assumptions in the budget. So that's been some really good and detailed work. The savings plans that we've come up with so far are detailed in the appendix, and I recommend these and are happy to take any questions either now or at a later point from members or indeed anyone else as to what they mean. Our approach has been to try and protect as well as transform services rather than close them, and I think we've pretty much successfully done that. So that's good news. Like I said, it is very much focused on next year, although it's a medium-term financial plan for 3 years. Clearly, central government as well as local government have had enough on their plates, so there's not a 3-year settlement coming out of central government at the moment, although I understand the intention is hopefully once we're through this pandemic, we will get that. Just a few comments on the spending review that the Chancellor announced a week or so ago. So a lot of these haven't been incorporated into these figures. So there are other kind of items that will help us bridge the gap of 3.3 million, which is extra money for adult social care, the ability to raise council tax for a combined level of 5%, including 3% adult social care precept, as well as a number of other kind of aspects too. But I would point out that there's a lot of continuing uncertainty. And in particular, we are finding it difficult to budget for COVID-related costs for next year because the future is hard to predict. For example, will our leisure centres need more support? We don't yet know. We're also undertaking an asset review at the moment, which may have significant revenue budget implications as well if we need to incur capital expenditure. And we're still waiting for final details from government in terms of the local government settlement, which will come out next week. So in summary, I will keep updating exec colleagues and members as we go in an open and transparent way. We are now looking to run a short consultation on this, and we will then hopefully move towards settling this in February. So I would like to recommend the updated budget projections, the draft saving strategies in Appendix 1, and the next steps and timetables for finalising the MTFP. Unless Rich Pensker has anything to add.
Item 2 as well. Will you be recommending item 2, which is the approve of consultation?
Yes.
Lovely.
Yes.
Okay. So you're proposing the 2 recommendations as in the paper. Do I see a seconder for that? Councillor Tonkin. Okay. So shall I ask Richard Pensker if he wants to make any comments as our Section 151 officer?
No further comments. Obviously, support the paper.
Lovely, thank you, and thanks to your team for all the work they've done on this, and indeed officers throughout the council. It's just sad that we are in the position of having to cut rather than add. Michelle, do we have any questions or comments in your chat, please?
No, nothing in chat, Chairman.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, I suggest we go for the vote for a proposer and a seconder. So, are there any votes against? Any votes? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you. So I take that, Michelle. Is there anything there in chat?
Nothing in chat, Chairman.
Lovely. So those are taken on block as passed. So thank you, colleagues. We now move on to item 15, which is the oral reports of executive councillors. I'll go and ask everybody if they want to say anything. I'll first ask our two assistant execs, Nicola and Jeff. So Nicola, have you anything you'd like to say? even if it's Happy Christmas.
It is Happy Christmas, but I'd just like to remind everybody that there was an email sent out asking as many people as possible. The BNSSG CCG are asking for a survey to be completed regarding the vaccine, and I'd just like to remind everybody of the importance of sharing it, getting as many people to respond to this as possible.
Okay.
And to also attend the Shop Local event that Councillor Cater's hosting.
Lovely, thank you. Now, Nicola, in terms of that response on the vaccine, would it make sense if that's emailed out to all members again as a reminder?
Yes, I'm not sure. I can't remember. I think.
Well, don't worry
Richard
now.
emailed
If you
it
get the link,
to,
and just, we can just
you know.
email it out. Look, brilliant.
Yeah,
Jeff
will do.
Richardson.
Thanks, Don. Yeah, I'd just like to say a few words about the adverse weather plan, which is now in place. So this is a plan that covers our policies and procedures regarding ice, snow, salting, coastal flooding in Western Clevedon and Portishead, and local flooding, where we are the lead local flood authority. That's not in the area where we've got drainage boards, and some people will know we're actually doing some work at the moment on Summit Lane Pond. So this document is very comprehensive and lays out 24/7 coverage through the winter months should any adverse weather occur. So,
okay, Jeff, and I guess that'll be circulated to all members again, just to remind them. So can you do that for us?
I will do, yeah.
Lovely, thank you. Mike Bell?
Thank you, Don. Apologies that I haven't got video on, but my signal's playing up, so
okay.
Hopefully you can hear me. I just like a couple of things actually on the public health responses. Firstly, just to thank everyone involved in our pilot lateral flow testing scheme for students, which got underway in partnership with Western College today. This is part of our developing work to offer faster COVID-19 testing to priority groups and help contain asymptomatic spread. It's been a really amazing achievement by our team and colleagues from the college and government to get this up and running so quickly with all the logistics and challenges that's presented. So a big thank you to them, and hopefully we'll be able to build on that work. And just following up on Nicola's point, as we know, the first vaccinations are also being delivered locally and across the country by the NHS this week. A key message really for the community is that you'll all need a little bit of patience. The vaccination programme is very much a marathon rather than a sprint effort. So when you become eligible for the vaccine based on the priority groups that the government has determined, you will be contacted and told what to do. And in the meantime, the most important message is that everyone continues to stick to the guidelines, keeps up the hard work in terms of washing your hands, face coverings and keeping your distance. And helps us to get case numbers down so that we're in the best possible place as the vaccine gets rolled out. Thanks.
Thank you, Mike. Mark Canniford?
Yes, I'll just keep it brief, Chairman. What I would like to do is appeal to all councillors who are listening and anyone else who's listening in on the webinar. Simply, those businesses that qualify for grants need to come forward. The local restriction support grant, which is based on whether you pay business tax, whether you get 100% support and don't actually pay any money over, is completely irrelevant. If you are liable to that tax before grants, please come forward, because we are looking to pay this money out. We do not want to send it back to central government. We want it in our businesses' pockets to help them get through these tough times.
Thank you, Mark. So just to clarify, even if you get a relief from business rates, you are eligible to apply.
You are indeed. If you have had if you found you've had to close in the last 2 weeks, please apply. You are entitled to these grants, and those businesses that haven't been forced to close but have been very affected, they can claim through the ARG grants. They are still there for us to support them, but we really do want people to go for the grant who are paying business rates, because we have a shortfall currently.
Lovely. Ash Cartman, are you still on the line, or have we lost you completely?
I'm here, but I will not say anything, Don. I've finished. Thank you.
Okay. Catherine Gibbons.
Thank you. I'd just like to say at this time a big thank you to all the staff and the teams in children's services within North Somerset for keeping things going throughout this very difficult period and working so hard on the children's improvement plan that we have in place, which will be updating all members on very soon. And I'd also like to thank all our schools, the teachers and the pupils and the parents for the way that they've coped throughout this pandemic thus far. But to remind people that, yes, we've had this fantastic news about a vaccine coming online, but we do have to continue to be vigilant over Christmas, and the temptation to mix with more people than we have been is huge. But I'd just like everyone to try and think about the long-term gains of being patient and just keeping, as my colleague Councillor Bell has said, keeping to those rules that have come second nature to a lot of us for the moment, so that as we come out of 2020 and into 2021, we'll have a better situation. And as I say, thanks to everybody, and I want to wish everyone as happy a Christmas and New Year as possible.
Thank you, Catherine. Bridget Petty.
Hello. I wanted to provide some update on the progress with the waste work that's been going on, because preparations have been going towards launching our arm's length company to deliver the waste service from spring next year, which is when we will be ending our contract with Biffa. Regular meetings are taking place with cross-party waste working groups who are engaging in the decision-making process. I'm delighted that following a robust HR process, we're pleased to report that Brian Veal has been appointed as the Managing Director of the new company, and councillors will have received an email regarding that. Brian has spent the last 4 years working for a London borough and was part of a team who led on the establishing of an arm's length company. So I'm positive that him joining the team, and I'm glad to say that he's actually started this week. I would really like to thank all those operative teams who collect our waste day in, day out. And when it becomes the Christmas period, I hope all our residents will continue to recognise their hard work, but we can all work together to make sure that we sort out our recycling, that we have our boxes all well sorted and clean recycling, that we flatten the cardboard, which is really important because it really speeds up their day and their ability to reach all of the houses. So thank you for all you're doing, your continued hard work. Thank you to our operatives. With my final point, I just want to make a slight change. The work on the budget continues to ramp up as the council prepares to set the revenue budget for 2021 and 22 financial year, as Councillor Cartman referred. I would like to urge all parties, group leaders and councillors to ensure that this second year of the administration makes a strong commitment to respond to the climate emergency. The next budget should recognise the underfunding of previous budgets, and that the budget, when finalised, properly reflects our corporate vision to be open, fairer and greener than those that have gone before. There is more I could say about the year that we have all experienced, but it is for us as leaders to plan for a future that responds to the climate crisis, for our children's future and for our grandchildren. So thank you very much, and I continue to hope that we all can all work hard on that objective. Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Bridget. I'm sure we reflect what you just said as well. Mike Solomon.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, with my tourism hat on, I really feel for our hospitality industry. They've been hit extremely hard. Our restaurants and pubs, they've gone from one lockdown to another, from now into tier 3, and I know they are. Talking to them, they're really suffering, especially the wet pubs, who anyway can't serve even a Scotch egg. They're suffering very badly. But just to say that in terms of, I had a briefing on events this morning, and we've got lots of new events coming forward, and they're exciting events, and lots of them, and more event companies asking to do events. So there is some light at the end of the tunnel, and I can see us having a good year when we're allowed to next year, if all the events go forward, including the air show that we've now agreed to support. Hopefully there will be light at the end of the tunnel, and with all the help we're giving them through Mark's department, they will be able to see their way to a much brighter future.
Thank you, Mike. James Tonkin.
Thank you, Chairman. Local plan choices document consultation period comes to an end next Monday evening. So can anybody who's got any more submissions get them in before then, please? And also the active travel strategy consultation period has been extended until the 15th of Jan. So anybody who needs to engage with that, they've got a bit more time. Thank you very much, and
Thank you.
Happy Christmas to all.
Thank you. And as I was out cycling this morning, I was very active on my bike trying to keep warm. So I'd recommend it to all. Thank you, James. So I will just make a couple of points. I think I would like, first of all, to thank everybody. This has been an extremely difficult year, and I guess most of next year is going to be trying in the extreme until we've got a significant number of people vaccinated and got the pandemic under control. So I'd like to thank not only the staff at North Somerset Council, those of all our contractors, just my colleagues here who I know as members have been working with their own communities and across North Somerset very, very hard this year, because so much has been happening and so many people have needed help. So thank you to you as well. I know a lot of people moan a lot at you, but we are very much appreciative of the work you do within your communities across all 49 members. So thank you for that. I've been asked around Brexit. I don't know the answer yet, I'm afraid. But I would recommend, if anybody's got any queries, we have all the relevant information on the website at northsomersetcouncil.gov.uk/Brexit, where that gives you a guide to all the relevant sites you'll need for any information on that, rather than me pontificating and making statements which weren't necessarily true. All the links are on our website, and clearly, as and when we find any more news, that will be entered on there. It's just important to remember, of course, we will be leaving the EU, or we've already left the EU, but we leave the single market. So all the things around things like E111s, pet passports, and all those type of things, travel insurance, the whole lot, that will all change regardless of whether there's a deal or no deal. So please be very much aware of that, and we will keep as much information we can on our website. And finally, I'd like to wish you all, I think this is the final meeting of the executive before Christmas, a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And please be safe, follow those guidelines so I can see you all again next year. So thank you very much. As item number 16 is urgent business, which I believe there is none. Can I check that with Nick Brain?
You are correct, Chairman.
Lovely, thank you. So I now declare the meeting closed. Please have a good day, and I'll be seeing some of you later on Facebook Live. So